Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? All right. So my name is Matt Thompson. I'm very glad to have you all here today. It's a little different. Usually we have freshman parent night right before the freshman orientation. So I appreciate everybody's flexibility and changing the date and getting here this Wednesday. So thank you. We're kind of doubled up today because we rescheduled this. So we are going to follow with a senior parent night, which is more geared towards college. But I can tell you, I have two seniors and I have a sophomore, so I've been on both ends of it. And I can tell you it comes really quickly. So it's probably the furthest thing from your mind right now, but I can tell you it comes quickly. So with us this evening, I'm Matt Thompson. This is Chris Keegan, Lara Carlson. Yeah, there you go. We have Mr. Ricker. He is currently serving in two roles right now. He is our athletic director, but he's also been promoted to assistant superintendent. So he was already working like crazy before, and he's trying to kick it up another gear if that's even possible. But we have recently rehired his replacement, Ms. Claire Herman. She is currently under contract with another district, so those days are running out, but she'll be joining us shortly. So we have two new administrative team members. But she couldn't be with us this evening, but she'll be joining us shortly. And tonight we have our guidance team, but speaking with you this evening will be our coordinator of guidance, Mrs. Tricia Morcillo. So I'm just going to start, I think one of the things before my kid enters into a school, and even when I go on college visits with my son or my daughter, and I kind of sit there and I listen, and I always ask myself, A, how's my child going to fit into this community and this school, and two, what are they all about, And we have a great teacher, Mr. Steve Betchler, and if you ever go to a football game, he's the voice of Par Hills, and he's an amazing teacher. But he snapped this picture one night, and I always use it because I feel like this really represents the Hills. And this was my first year here at the Hills, 2019, pre-COVID, and we had our team had just won a Friday night game, and they have a tradition of playing our alma mater. And so you can see our marching band playing the alma mater. You can see our football players all standing in front of the marching band, and what you can't see in the pictures as the outside is our student body kind of standing around it. And I think what that represents to me is what I've sensed here. I came from my previous job. I was in a large regional district of about 3,000 students. And one of the things that always strikes me about the Hills and that I love about the Hills is the sense of community. A lot of diversity, but a strong sense of community about being here. And it's like the perfect size where you're not a number. There's a strong connection with our staff, and our surveys show that, and there's a strong connection of belonging here. And I think that one of it is, and Mrs. Carlson will talk about that, is our clubs, our 70-plus clubs, our strong STEM programs, our strong athletics, and just all the activities and everything else, and that really helps. And I want to encourage all of your sons and daughters. We have a club fair, we have a freshman fun day, we have a freshman fun night, and it really is some unique programs here at the Hills that helps them become part of this community. So it's an amazing thing, and your kids are coming into an amazing community. So just an overview of the topics. I want to talk a little bit about the orientation. When we first got here, Mr. Keegan and I, he returned back from Brooklawn, but when we first got here, we sat down with the freshmen and we talked about the transition programs that we had here at the Hills: Freshman Fun Night, Freshman Fun Day, the guidance programs, and the freshman orientation. And what we kind of focused on was helping in that transition, and that's why we've tweaked the activities over the years. But when it boiled down to exactly what they wanted for orientation, this is why we kind of run it the way we do. We're going to talk about our unique schedule, our rotating drop block, and our daily processes. Mrs. Morcillo is going to walk a little bit into the graduation requirements, and our guidance team does an amazing job of tracking that and make sure your kids are scheduled based on their goals and everything else. But she'll give you an overview of that. The communications, and that's important for us to kind of be on the same page, not only to understand the programs and everything and the opportunities that are coming up, but just some of the things that are happening at the Hills through social media, through our newsletter and things like that. So Mrs. Morcillo go through some of the supports and some of the academic supports we have during the course of the year, the contacts and who to reach when you need to reach out to us, student involvement, as I shared before, some dates to remember that are going to be in the near future, our attendance, the Chromebooks, which are going through right now, and the NJIT dual enrollment program, and I'll talk about that. Even though it seems like down the road, I'll just kind of give you an overview of that. And then when we have a Q&A, if we have time, we'll do it here, but if we're running a little tight to the senior night, we'll just start taking we'll just move over and answer any questions that you may have in the CAF. So again, during the freshman orientation, we kind of give the tours, we let the peer leaders kind of take them through, and we have an amazing peer leader group. I think it's a lot better for the students to answer the students' questions about kind of where do you go, how do you handle lunch line and everything else, and our peer leaders do a great job of just doing those tours. We do a large overview meeting. We have kind of an introduction to the building and kind of give them an idea, and then when we get down to the rules and the protocols and things like that, we do those in class meetings, and those will be this Friday. So we meet with the freshmen again. We didn't want to overload them during the orientation. We just want them to walk into day one feeling confident. I know where to go. I kind of know what to do. I know where my supports are, things like that. And then one of the things that the students wanted, and the primary thing they want, and the most anxiety they have before day one is, am I going to get to all my classes? So we try to calm them down. We're not going to hit you with any lates the first week. We totally understand you're learning the building and you're just figuring out the rotating drop block. But I think they're most anxious about, they get to meet their teachers, they meet all 8 periods for that orientation, and then we give them time to kind of walk their schedule and everything else so they can kind of become more familiar with the building. And then we have some Q&A in the gym with our peer leaders, and then they board the buses home. So a typical day at the Hills, as you can see, our administrative team, we try to be out every morning, kind of just greeting everybody as they walk in to start the day. And a couple key things on drop-off. Really encourage you, if they take the bus, don't worry about it. The bus lets them off right at the curb. If you drive your son or daughter in, we're just ask that you drop them off on the curbside. You can pull up in front of the entrance, beyond the entrance. Just make sure you're on the curbside when you let them off. Make sure you're not letting them off on the other side so that they have to walk across, because there's a lot of cars coming. So just the safety aspect. We got 3 crosswalks. Most of the seniors that come through, and we have a crossing guard right there. So just if you drop them off in the parking lot, just encourage them to use that middle crosswalk right there. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Keegan. He can talk to you a little bit about a rotating drop block and what our day looks like. Be good if I gave you a clicker. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. It's great to see all of you. It's an exciting time. We're going to be working together for the next 4 years. I'm going to go over a few things, and this can be overwhelming just to look at. So we understand that when the 9th graders get here, there's a schedule change, there's a building change, there's so many things that they're getting accustomed to, so we try and make them as comfortable as possible. This is our rotating drop block, which we've been doing for the past, this will be our 5th year, and it does serve a lot of benefits for the students. So basically what happens is we have 4-letter days, A, B, C, and D, and if you can follow, we go through the schedule. If you look at an A day, each period drops each day. So you'll have 3 classes in the morning, 3 classes in the afternoon. The next day, one of those classes from the previous day will drop out, and the one that was after it will move to first period. Okay, so for instance, we have 1, 2, 3 in the morning on an A day. We'll have, let's say 2, 3, 4 on a B day. So the benefits of that is that they're not having the same class first every single day, because believe it or not, having that first class for high school students sometimes is difficult with latenesses, waking up. Some people perform better middle of the day, first thing in the morning. So rotating those classes not only helps with attentiveness and things of that nature, but also with attendance, especially because of tardies, latenesses, things like that. So we rotate every single day, and every single day is a different schedule, and one of those periods will drop out, so there's a period that they will not see that teacher each day. And labs, so when they have a science lab, they'll have a particular day, whether it's A, B, C, or D. They will have the last period before lunch and the first half of lunch. So the lab will be an extended science period, and then when that lab is finished, they go to lunch. The students that had the first half of lunch will have lab starting the second half of lunch and into the block following lunch. I can hear myself saying this, and I understand how confusing it can be. We have the schedules posted all over the building. We have them available for the students on the website so they can follow. When they walk in, we have each day the layout. It's a 16 by 20. We have it on all different portions of the building. Every day our custodial staff comes in. They change it for the students. So as soon as they walk in, not only does the A, B, C, and D day continue throughout the year, but they're changed every single day for the students when they walk in, so there's no confusion as to where they should be. As Dr. Thompson said, we understand that this is a big, them getting accustomed to not only the new building, but the new schedule, which is very different. So for that first, it works out perfectly because the 4-day week this week, we give them those 4 days to go through an entire cycle of A, B, C, D before we start getting into tardies, latenesses, things of that nature. We want them to get comfortable with their schedule. They'll go through the entire cycle once, and then Monday it's, normal procedure. Our TV production crew, okay, they are back in that booth right now, and the one thing that I can say about them is that they are everywhere and they do everything. Mr. Nichols, give us a wave. All right. So one of the things that we take great pride in here is we try and be as student-driven as possible. Okay, so we try and get student input when we're implementing things. We try and get student involvement in every aspect that we possibly can. And the TV production crew is one of the best examples of that. We have many, but they are very involved with morning announcements. They play the morning announcements every day during homeroom. Students are involved in that. Students are responsible often for submitting those announcements. Not only that, but a lot of the projects that are done, a lot of the streaming that you'll see throughout the year, whether it's the athletic games, whether it's the fall drama, the spring musical. If you can't attend in person, we do our best to make everything available for you online on our channel, and that is put out to you and available at all times. Unit lunch. Again, this is something that came with the rotating drop schedule that we started. This will be our 5th year with it. And unit lunch is every single student in the building eats at the same time. We used to have 3 different lunch periods, and it was separated by grade level. Now we have all 4 grade levels eat at the same time for 52 minutes right in the middle of the day. The benefits of this is it's definitely a decompression period for everybody. Okay, we have a number of activities that students are able to do in a number of areas in the building that they're able to go to as kind of a break from their classes. So what they can do is we have the patio that's open every single day. Seniors are allowed, not yet, it's usually the second week of full week of school. Seniors are permitted to have open campus where they can leave school grounds for lunch, which then alleviates a lot of the clutter in the other areas. So we'll have 3 grade levels, basically 9, 10, and 11 in the building, minus all the seniors that go out for open campus. You'll find a lot of them going outside and sitting on the patio, getting some fresh air. You see them working together. We also have the library is open during that time. We have a quiet room, which basically is almost like a study hall where students can go. It's very little noise, it's quiet, they want to get work done. There's a teacher in there with them, so they can use the patio. We have the cafeteria, obviously. The library, we have the quiet room for students that want to get some work done. Another area is the gym. And one of the things that we do is if you're in the gym, we have a teacher designated about 20 minutes into the period that will take any students that want to go outside. So they go up to the field, they take out phys ed equipment, they take out balls and things like that. They run around, they release some energy, and then they go on to block 4, and they seem to be ready for class at that point. But everybody's able to eat together. It's a great, for socializing, for seeing their friends, for being able to just, like we said, decompress, release some energy outside, sit outside. It's a good community builder, and we found it to be very helpful for everybody. So dismissal is the buses pull up. We haven't exactly batted 100% for the first 2 days, but we're doing our best. So the buses will often try to line up in the same order every single day. We intended on that to happen the first 2 days. It didn't quite work out that way, but we adapted pretty well. But the students are told, and we make announcements the first 2 days especially, to just know what bus you go on and know where that bus lines up. Because usually once we hit day 3, 4, and particularly once we hit Monday, and we're kind of in a routine now, the buses do line up every single day in exactly the same order. So the students are able to come out. We hold the buses for about 6 to 8 minutes. And the reason that we have to do that is because they have to get through this run and then go get the elementary students. So we can't hold the buses for that long. So they'll come out. The buses will be in the same spot. So once they get accustomed to where that bus is, that bus will be there every single day in that same spot. The other thing that we do offer is if students have extracurricular activities, they stay after school for any reason, we have a late bus that's provided where if a student wants to take the late bus, they would go to the media center. We have a teacher there up until the time that the late bus comes. I would love to tell you exactly when the late bus comes, but I would give it about a 20-minute window because that fluctuates as the year goes. It's usually about 4 o'clock to 4:30. Sometimes it can be later, but that teacher is in the media center up until that time, and the late bus arrives. So if you have extracurriculars, you're staying after to see a teacher, you're staying after to see a sports game, anything like that, you're staying after for extra help, you're with your friends, there is a late bus available that will be able to take students home about 4:15, 4:30. That does not start until this Monday. So we did not have it available for these first 4 days, but the late bus will be available starting Monday, which is the 11th. Communication. We stress to the students, and we'll do so at the class meetings, that the most important form of communication for them is their email. They should be checking it regularly. Not only do the teachers do an excellent job of communicating with parents, they also do an excellent job of communicating with the students, and the best means of communication for them is through their email. We'll also send out class emails, whether it be the freshman class, sophomore class. Sometimes we'll send it to the whole building, but if we want to get any communication out, it's very important that they get accustomed to checking their emails regularly. Also, we have our Viking Updates, School Messenger, if you have not signed up for that. We always make the joke that we use Twitter and Instagram, but Twitter, or X or whatever it's called now, is often becoming older people. Like, parents use Twitter a lot, and kids seem to be using TikTok and Instagram more. So it depends on what we send out and the response we get, and it's amazing how the platform matters. Because like I said, we get more responses from parents with Twitter, and we certainly get more responses with students using the Instagram account, but we have both. And then the school homepage, we always update the calendar, upcoming events. Anything that gets submitted to us is put up as quickly as possible. So a lot of times if you do have any questions about anything that's upcoming, not only does Dr. Thompson send out regular communications, but everything that we have upcoming as far as the calendar, particularly each month, is put out at the start of the month. And if there's any changes or any updates or any modifications to the schedule, you'll always be able to find those on the school website. I'm going to turn it over to the head of our counseling department, Mrs. Morcillo.
Good evening, and we are happy that you were able to join us. My name is Tricia Morcillo. I am the coordinator of our counseling department here at Parsippany Hills. Just to give you a little bit of a background, I actually have been here since about 1999, so Parsippany Hills is my second home. I love this school, and I hope if this is your first child here with us, you're going to feel that way when you're here with us throughout these 4 years. I'm just going to introduce you to our department. Again, I am the coordinator of the department, and I work with our students who are our ESL students and our students that are in our STRIVE program. This year, we actually are starting a new counseling model where 2 of our school counselors will be working with grades 9 and 11, and the other 2 will be working with grades 10 and 12. So your child's counselor, who you have this year, will follow your child for all 4 years. And the 2 counselors together kind of are working as a team approach along with one of our assistant principals. So our grade 9 counselors this year are Mr. Correa. He will be working with students whose last names begin with A through L, and then Mrs. Barrett will be working with students whose last names begin with M through Z. And then our 10 through 12 counselors are Miss Bouchang, and she has A through L, and then Mrs. Barkowskis, who has students M through Z. All of us together work together pretty much on everything. So even though we're operating in teams this year, there's nothing that your child can't ask any one of us. You will see us together as a group. You will see the 9 and 11 counselors doing things together with your children. So you can reach out to any one of us at any time, but that's your point person. Our student assistance counselor is Mr. Wooster. So he works with all of our students. He works together with all of us. He's there for any issues that we might want assistance with. So his door is always open to all of your children at any time. Some things that we want to make you aware of so that you can kind of remind your children are some of the upcoming things that we'll be doing in the near future. We want to get the kids in the habit of checking their email. That's how the counselors will communicate with your child and let your child know, I'm making an appointment with you to come see me at this time, or we send a lot of information about things going on with the particular class through their email. So it's really important that on a daily basis, they check their email, and they don't have to wait for the counselor to make an appointment to see them. That's the beauty of this model where we have this unit lunch. It's something that, you know, we've been hoping for a long time, and we've been using it now for about 4 or 5 years. The counselors are always available during unit lunch. So if your child says, I never have an opportunity to see my counselor, that's just not true. We are available during unit lunch. It's our classroom time. So if your child has any issue that they need to see their counselor for, they need to go to the counseling office during unit lunch. They do not need an appointment during unit lunch. They just need to go, and the counselor will be there, and they'll be able to address whatever issue they have. Our freshman counselors will be hosting throughout the year seminars for the freshmen. So we have 3 upcoming on the 15th, the 20th, the 22nd, and the 26th. So during that time, one of those unit lunches, they will come here and meet with our grade 9 counselors. And at that time, the grade 9 counselors will go over a bunch of different information that we want to get out to the kids at this point in the year. We will do this throughout the school year, so anytime they see there's a freshman seminar, they should attend one of them. They don't need to attend all of them, they should attend one of them. In addition to the group meetings that we do, we also host individual meetings. So Mr. Correa and Mrs. Barrett will be putting out individual appointment times so that your child can meet with them one-on-one. So they're going to start these in a couple of weeks, and we will post them in our Google Classroom. We'll put them outside our counseling office, and they will email them the appointment times. So it's their responsibility to know when they have an appointment with their counselor. So they will be told that, but they need to come. So we encourage you to encourage your children to make sure they're checking these things and seeing when their appointment time is. The teachers know that the children are allowed to come down to the counseling office. If the student has a test, of course they can reschedule. But we're trying to get them to understand they need to be responsible, they need to read when their appointment time is, and they need to hop down and meet with their counselor. We use Naviance, and as you attend our nights, I'll have a sophomore parent night, a junior parent night, a senior parent night, you'll get used to the system and see how that's one of our tools in the college process search, and it's one of the tools that we use when your child is ready to apply to college in the future. But right now, they're also going to be using Naviance with their grade 9 counselors and starting to do some self-discovery assessments. There's a lot of different things that they can do now. So when they meet with their counselor in this early appointment that they're going to do in the fall, they should bring their Chromebook, and the counselors will show them how to get on Naviance and the different things that they can navigate through in Naviance as they begin to progress through high school. As a parent, you can also sign up to have a Naviance account, and I believe my secretaries gave you a sheet of paper where you can do that when you go home. You're welcome to have a Naviance account also so you can see the different things that are available to you as a parent. Okay, so part of our job is making sure your child hits all of their graduation requirements. We will also have a meeting when it's scheduling time. Sometime around February, the counselor will call your child in. They'll take a look at the courses that they're currently in. They'll take a look at the recommendations that the teachers made for the next school year, and they will make sure they are meeting these requirements. So there is not a time where the counselor's not aware of where your child's at, what courses your child needs to take, and throughout these 4 years, it is our job to make sure that they meet each of these requirements. So you will see in each of the meetings that they have that they're talking and making sure, did you take your art? When do you want to take your art class? When do you want to take personal finance? Along with the graduation requirements in the building, they do need to pass the New Jersey GPA, which we will talk to you about as we progress through the years, because to be honest, this is the freshman class. I really can't guarantee you what's going to happen with the state in the next 4 years. So there's nothing to stress about. I promise you, just keep attending every one of our nights, and we'll be able to tell you what your child needs to do to keep up with the state graduation requirements.
Thanks, Mrs. Marcello. Hi, everyone. Oh, yep. Round of applause. She definitely deserves it. Welcome. Thank you guys for coming. So I'm going to go over a couple things kind of just to build off what Mrs. Marcello said. So the teachers have office hours, and kind of like she mentioned, student responsibility is a big part of that. We really want the students, especially the freshmen, to start advocating for themselves. I think our school counselors would agree with that. So many of the teachers offer tutorials during unit lunch, but please don't assume that they offer that. Your child should really speak to their teachers about going to meet them during unit lunch. Some offer them after school, a few maybe before school if your child can get here, but it's really up to the teacher. And again, really, you should be speaking to your child about speaking to their teacher and finding out when they should go for extra help. Most teachers ask students to notify them when they are coming because they may not always be in their classroom. So if your child just shows up, they may not be there for help, but if they communicate that to them, then they'll know and they'll be willing to be there for help. We have office hour days built into the school year, so there are 4 of them, and each of these fall about 3/4 of the way into each marking period. These are days where you can see it's an early dismissal schedule at 11:45. So this is a day really for the students to get help from their teachers, see what they need to do in terms of the marking period. So if your child is struggling, again, this is 3/4 of the way through the marking period, it's really a good time. You can strongly encourage them, go talk to your teachers, make sure you're doing well in all of your classes because the marking period is coming to an end. Maybe they want to check in with their school counselors as well. Okay, so we have 4 of these days, and if you look at the dates, it's extra help for 2 hours, and they are close to when the marking period ends. We've done that specifically so they can check to make sure that they're where they need to be before the end of the marking period. So another support is National Honor Society tutoring. So the National Honor Society tutoring program, it's one-to-one. There are students in that program. These are their peers, upperclassmen, okay, that they can meet with after school. It's available in the media center. So this is another opportunity if, let's say, their teacher's not available, that they could pair up with someone in NHS and they could go meet with that student for math help, English help, and they can support them. So these are a couple contacts. These are emails. If you want to take a picture of it, you can. So these are Mrs. Morcillo's email, Mr. Correa, who is A through L. Okay, M through Z is Mrs. Barrett. Dr. Thompson, our new vice principal, she's not here yet, so she doesn't currently have an email. Mr. Keegan and myself. Please make sure if your child is going to be absent, you notify the attendance office. Okay, the sooner the better. Otherwise, they're going to be marked absent. If they're sick and you can get a doctor's note, that would be excused. That's better. But if you know they're not coming to school for some reason, please let the attendance office know at 2426 as soon as possible. Couple dates to remember. So September 13th is back to school night. September 22nd is our freshman fun night. You know, Mr. Keegan stressed this with TV and production. Dr. Thompson stressed this in the beginning. We really want to encourage all of our freshmen to get involved in some way. So freshman fun night is a great time to meet some student council members, to meet the peer leaders again who they met at freshman orientation, to make connections with upperclassmen and also members of their class. So we have a freshman fun night and we have a freshman fun day, which is during school. So again, if you want to take a picture of this, that way you have these on your calendar. We will have underclass photos on the 28th and the 29th. So if you want to, get a new outfit, make sure their hair is cut, probably good days to do that. And then we have our club activities fair, which Dr. Thompson kind of talked about already, where again, we're encouraging the students to get involved. We have a fall pep rally, and then our homecoming game and our dance is on October 14th. Okay, so upcoming events for them to kind of get out, meet other students, meet upperclassmen, meet their peers, and support the Vikings. So to continue, there are 70 plus clubs and activities and 24 varsity sports. I don't think we can say it enough. We want your children to get involved. If there's something they're interested in, there's a good chance there's a club or an activity for that. And you might say, oh, well, they can't come because they meet after school. Not necessarily. The way that our unit lunch is set up, some of the clubs and activities meet during unit lunch. So if you think it's going to be this extreme time commitment, tell them just to find out about it. Get more information, then make the decision. But if there's something that they're interested in, good chance there's a club or an activity or a sport. Our girls wrestling program, some of you might know or not know, just kind of took off. We have a growing girls wrestling program, which is new. So that's one of the sports that was just added. We also have unified sports as well. So definitely a lot of options. Okay, attendance, extremely important for a full year course. 16 absences, okay, and then it's loss of credit. PE course, which is 3 marking periods, 12 absences, okay. The key here, if you look at the health and driver's ed, because this is the one that sort of comes up quick, is only a marking period class. So 4 absences in that class is a loss of credit. You think it's not a lot, but it does come up quickly, especially if, oh, well, they have a doctor's appointment this day, so I'm just going to pull them out of class and they miss health. They do add up unless you get a doctor's note. It's not excused, okay? Tardy is 5 warnings and a tardy for 10 consequences. So myself, because I'm the grade 9 vice principal, Mr. Keegan has 10 and 12, we'll call your child down and tell them, okay, here's a warning. You've been late 5 times now. Okay, then there's going to be a consequence when there's 10, and then subsequent offenses, there are other consequences for those. So please just speak to them about making sure they get to class on time. As Dr. Thompson said, this week we're kind of giving them a little leeway because they're still learning the building. Okay, next week, that's not going to happen. We hopefully know that they're going to know their schedules. There shouldn't hopefully be any issues. Tardies are absences, okay, so they do add up. And again, the key here is they lose credit, which is not something maybe that was familiar from the middle school, okay? But excessive absences means loss of credit, meaning they may have to retake the class. And again, Mrs. Marcelo just went over graduation requirements, okay? No absences are excused except for state-approved holidays and bring your child to work day. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Thompson so we can talk about the dual enrollment.
Thank you. So this is a unique program. We have an amazing supervisors here, particularly our math supervisor, Kelly Curtis, and our science supervisor, Rachel Villanova. One of the things that they implemented probably in like the last 2 years is a partnership with NJIT. And what that is at the end of the freshman year, they can sit in and NJIT comes here and presents. And they've evaluated our curriculum, and they've basically said a lot of the courses that we offer, math and science courses, are worthy of college credit at NJIT. So you have that opportunity for dual enrollment. So there's two major pathways here. One talks about early enrollment. Now you're not committed to NJIT, but at the end of your freshman year, you can get on a track where they will accept you and they come in and you're like, early on in your high school career, you're already accepted to NJIT. Now you have to maintain a certain GPA and things like that, but they'll evaluate your transcript, and if you're on path, we've had a number of students, they'll meet with them in the media center, they have a celebration, and that they all have early acceptance in NJIT, and they stay on that path. Now, the benefit of that is, even if you choose not to go to NJIT, there's dual enrollment opportunities. And so when a college evaluates your transcript, one option is advanced placement through College Board, where if you score high enough on a test, you can get college credit if the school accepts it, which looks great because you're taking college level classes. The other option is to take some of our dual enrollment programs. So a lot of our science classes, you could elect to be in a dual enrollment program, which means you would have your high school transcript and then you would have an NJIT transcript as you're applying to schools. Some schools may take that credit, some schools may not take it, but they'll say, hey, look at this student, they're already taking and performing well in college level classes. So for that STEM program, this is a tremendous opportunity. NJIT is a great school, but even just to have college credit from NJIT, if you go to another school, is a tremendous opportunity as well. Chromebooks, most of you have worked through that. I think we have 99% of our freshman students that have traded in their middle school Chromebook, have received their new Chromebook, and just making sure that you sign off on everything. Highly encourage you to get the protection program. And I can tell you, as having, 3 kids in high school right now, not that they're intentionally trying to do it, but that can happen very easily, especially when they pack all their textbooks in there, they're throwing their book bag around, everything else. To have that protection makes things a lot easier. The Chromebooks, if you're having any issues, please contact us, but I think most of us have worked through that already. Required device usage agreement, the student handbook, sign off on that. The device usage agreement and the student handbook. Once those things are all signed off on, then you can get it. And we threw a lot of information at you, but this is just the start of the journey, right? So your students are just starting. If this is your first child, then you're just starting out with us. So it's certainly not the last conversation we're gonna have. If there's anything that jumped out to you that you need more information on, or something that you're just not sure of, we'll stick around, and I think what we'll do is we'll start here, and if it starts moving into the senior parent night, we'll move into the cafeteria. But we're all here to answer any questions that you have. And if we don't answer them in the next 20 minutes, then we'll move into the cafeteria, but we'll make sure that we're here. It's the start of the journey, believe it or not. You'll be up at that turf soon, ready for graduation. It's hard to believe, but believe me, it happens quickly. I can speak for that. Just sent my kids off to their senior year today. So it happens really quickly. But ultimately what I want you to know is we have tremendous teachers here. We have a great community that your sons and daughters are stepping into with a lot of great opportunities. So I appreciate everybody coming tonight, and we'll stick around if you have any questions. Thank you.